Welcome everybody, it's Karen. I am so glad you've come to join me today because I have this really fun interactive card. Now I first saw this on Pinterest, but it's taken me quite a while to figure out how to make the mechanism. But I'll link to the Pinterest sample below. So here's the card. How much fun is that? It's a double spinner card, so you can see there are two rings that kind of spin around as you open it and close it. And I've got 3 cards for you today. All of them I've been using these Paper Rose Studio embossed die cuts, and these are the cut aparts. I think this is called the Rainbow Garden cut aparts, this set. They come on a really thick cardstock and you can just cut out the images that you want. So that was, I think, Rainbow Garden. These are the rainbow butterflies. Now these are embossed die cuts and they come on a perforated sheet of cardstock, and you just punch out these butterflies. Now you can see, I think, the embossing on that. It's just super glossy. They're beautiful. They're all rainbow colored. And these are the rainbow twirl bouquets. Now these are die cuts, so they come on a perforated sheet of cardstock as well, but they are not embossed. But they are beautiful bouquets, and I've used a number of these today too. Now, I believe these are the Rainbow Garden Florals cut aparts. I did start cutting some of these apart thinking I might use them, and then I kind of changed my mind and went in a different direction. But I just thought I would quickly show you what's in these. They're just beautiful. This whole collection was really something else. Now, I did die cut this one, and I did use this in one of the cards I made for you today. So you'll see that a bit later. Okay, now this is what I'm hoping will come in the PDF for you. I'm hoping it's down below, but if not, maybe take a screenshot just so you've got this, or just come back to the video. I'm going to go through it with you anyway. So the basic mechanism, I used 110-pound cardstock for all of my mechanism part today, and I do think you should use a good strong paper like that. Basically, the square is 4 inches wide by 3 3/4 inches long, so not quite a square, but close. Now, with the 4-inch edge along the top, I'm going to score at 5/8 of an inch, 1 1/4 inches, 1 7/8 of an inch, and then we'll jump across to 3 3/8 of an inch. Now, with those first 3 vertical lines to the left, I'm going to rotate it so now they're up at the top. It doesn't really matter, but just to make it easy on you, I thought I'd put that in. Now I'm going to score all the way down at 1 1/4 inches and 2 1/2 inches, so all the way up and down. So that's what you've got now so far. Now between that 3rd and 4th line, we are going to score just between that line, and we're going to score at 5/8 of an inch. So I've got it put back in, and I just kind of use my bone folder and sort of pull it down lightly so I know where the line is, and then when I get to that 3rd and 4th line, I just push into the scoreboard. And then on the other side at 3 1/8 of an inch. So I kind of wanted to skew there, but bringing it back down and pushing in when I get to the 3rd line and all the way down to the 4th. Okay, so it should look like that. Now I've marked with an X all the pieces we're going to get rid of, and I do have that on the PDF, so hopefully you'll have all that. But we're going to cut up. I've got the 3 vertical lines on the left side, and I'm cutting all the way up all the vertical lines to that first score line. So they're all the way up. Now we're going to remove this first section, leave the second, get rid of the third. We're going to cut that flap in half where we scored it before, and then remove the last section. So it looks like that, and then we're going to rotate it now and cut again all the way up those vertical lines just to the first score line. Really, this isn't too hard. So all the way up. Now we're going to remove that first section, remove half that flap, remove the next one, save the second last one, and get rid of the very last one. And that's the bulk of it. Now those two half flaps, I start by turning those back and under and giving them a good bone, press with the bone folder. They are actually going to make the bridge, so I'm going to glue them down now just to keep them out of the way, but they just reinforce the bridge mechanism of this whole pivot mechanism. So you can see here, that's the part we just did. So I folded those under, and that just allows it to stand up a little bit better. Okay, now we're going to score in this square. So across those two rectangles, we're going to score from opposite diagonal corners. So I just line a piece of masking tape up on my scoreboard so it's right along one of the score lines, and then I can position that mechanism so I'm scoring from the top right corner down to the bottom left. So there it is. And then I will turn it and I will score from the top left side to the bottom right. Now you could mark your scoreboard with a marker. I just choose not to do that. Okay, so we're going to start folding things under. So I'm folding that first flap down, and I'm jumping across one horizontal score line or vertical score line, because that middle one we're going to fold the other way. Okay, so you have a mountain, valley, mountain, and then we're going to fold all those diagonal lines down and under in a mountain fold. And the other one. And then all the other folds are just going to be mountain folds. So just give these a good press. They do need to be reinforced. Okay, now I'm holding this with those two wings facing up and down, and then the triangle on the left and the triangle on the right are the two that you want to be on the outside. So I sort of pushed the other two under. I'm going to show you this again in just a minute so you see what went on. But give this a good burnish again after. So there you can see the triangle on the left, that one there, and the one on the right are the two that are going to stay on top. So you're just pushing those other two down and under and reinforcing that fold. And that's our mechanism right there. Now those wings, I honestly don't know if you need to fold these. I fold them up, if anything, because they're going to be flat against the card base. So here's how it all goes, just to give you a bit of an idea. That's the mechanism. So that's the upper wing that was up there. And then the lower one is down at the bottom and it attaches to the donut circle. So I don't know that you actually have to fold those wings, but I did. Okay, now here's my card base. I've attached some pattern paper from the Rainbow Twirl 2 pack, and I've die cut a circle that is 2 7/8 of an inch in diameter. Now this card measures 5.5 inches across by 6 inches tall, and I actually preferred this in the end. My other two are 5.5 inch square, and so you'll see those in a bit. But we're going to take this mechanism with it folded up. That little flap is going to be what attaches right against the fold line. So I am flipping it over and I'm centering it so that that triangle points to the center of that die cut opening. And that right rectangular flap is now butted right up against that fold line. So right there, and then all I do is I fold the flap up and I put some glue on it. And I do use quite a bit of glue because this is what's holding it in place. So a fair bit of glue there. Fold it back down and make sure it's buttered right up against that fold line again. Now I've got a donut ring that is 3 3/4 inches on the outside diameter and 1 7/8 of an inch on the inside. And I'm threading it through that mechanism. So I've threaded it through the wings and the whole mechanism. And you definitely want to have that in place before. So now we're going to glue this end down, and it's just that last flap that gets glued down. So it's not on the triangle or on the wings at all. I'm just putting the glue on that rectangle. And then you want to kind of fold that up. So there you can see it's all folded. There's only glue on that very last flap. And so keeping it folded, I am going to bring it across, and now you have to kind of get this donut ring to come up and over with it. And all you do is you close the card down and press that in place. Now you're going to see here that my donut ring somehow slipped its track and it's come off those wings. So I left this in just to show you. You just want to wiggle it all around until you can get that donut up above those wings in that position. And then we're going to just put a little bit of glue on that lower wing, and this is where the donut ring will attach to. So I'm going to pull that donut ring away from the card fold, but not so it's butting right up against the pivot mechanism, just so it's away from the card fold basically, and just press it down, let that set up. And then the top ring we are going to attach to the upper wing. Now that circle is about, for me, it's 2 1/8 of an inch in outer diameter. And I don't think you could do much bigger than that because you're going to butt it up against the card fold. So I think that's possibly as big as you can get. But you can see here I'm attaching it to the upper wing, but I'm keeping it to the right of it so that it's got lots of room to go back into the fold line. And so you want to just kind of press all this. You sort of have to guide those rings a little bit at the first until it's like any card fold. It just has to learn which way it's going to go. So I'm really pressing down on the mechanism and opening and closing it a number of times just to make sure it's flowing smoothly. And here I'm just putting a pencil mark in for you just to show you what those rings actually do when you open and close them. Because I had no idea at first that they were going in opposite directions, but they are. So when you go to attach things, it helps to kind of know which way they're going to go, I found. Now on the front, I am going to put my circle back in. Now this was 2 7/8 of an inch in diameter, the circle that I cut. You could make it bigger. The Pinterest example was bigger, I believe, and you could see part of the mechanism from the front, but I preferred that it was covered. Now I did mat my circle, but you can see I'm putting glue just on that rectangle to the left of that triangular part, and then I can feed my circle back in, line it up with the front, and then just press it down and give it a good press to let the glue set up. And now you'll see we've got that mechanism covered on the front. So I'm going to attach my little, I believe that's one of the embossed die cuts that I used. And I'm just kind of centering that over the middle of that circle. And there you go. Now, I found it really helpful to temporarily tack in place all my die cuts. So that's what I've got done here. They are just held in place with low tack tape, or you could use a repositionable tape runner. But I would definitely give this a trial run because you really want to be careful at that fold line, that nothing is jamming the mechanism, that you're keeping things away. And remember the way those rings went. You kind of have to keep that in mind so that when it opens and closes, they're not jamming. So I definitely found it easier to give this a trial run. And I also found it much easier to use glue because you have that extra little wiggle room. So I don't think I would use double-sided tape for these. I would definitely go with the glue. And each time I put something in, especially around that fold line, I checked it and watched it open and close. So there I'm just putting glue. I found putting the glue on the donut ring was much easier than putting it on. If I had put it on that gnome, I wouldn't know exactly where to put it on him. And I was sort of fiddling with everything after. So I ended up just putting glue directly on the ring and making sure that things were not sticking down. Now I'm just showing you there, you kind of want to watch that nothing comes out the sides or the bottom as you glue them in because they move around so much. So it was easy to have things popping out of the top or the bottom or the side. So on that upper ring there, I have again tacked that in place, and I'm just going to glue directly on that small ring. And then I could put my image back in place, and you definitely want to watch these and just carefully open and close. And I know it's hard for you to see in this video what's going on there because I've got the card half open and so you can't really see a lot. But that is all I'm trying to do there, is just to make sure that it's in a position where it's not hitting up against that card fold. So you can see there a little bit better. It was okay. Now in this card, I actually attached a couple of the images right to that center circle, and I do like that. I may go back and do that on my other two cards because I quite like that they'll be stationary, so they don't move. But it's kind of fun. It just adds to the dimension of the card. So at the end, I went and I glued all these die cuts together just where they overlapped, just so there were no loose edges that might catch. And there's my finished card. So I've just added a little strip that came off one of the 12 by 12 papers. It's at the bottom of all the Paper Rose papers, and I just thought that was really quite pretty. And I just added a few pearls and a sentiment on the front. Now it's definitely a kind of card where you're going to have to write on the back, so you might want to mat the back, and I just didn't do that. I may go back and do that as well. So here's another example. Now this was a 5.5-inch square, and so you can see the height difference, but the height actually allows you to put a slightly bigger die cut in place without it sticking out the bottom. So I do like the 6 by 5.5-inch card for that. Now I used the butterfly trellis stencil on the front of this card, and I used some Distress grit paste in Snowfall, and then colored in the butterflies a little bit more. That's the inside, so I've used essentially the same die cut images and that same strip along the right hand edge. And I did a Christmas one just to show a slightly different variation. I'll have everything listed below, guys, but this one just had the koalas and all those little presents and that little strip to the right. So I hope I've given you some inspiration, everybody. These cards are just so much fun. I cannot tell you how many times I've opened and closed mine just to see those rings move. So thanks for stopping by, everyone. I'm hoping you're having a great day, and I hope you'll come back for the next video. See you later. Bye.